Endangered penguins get help from surprising friends. When it comes to saving endangered species, there are no easy answers. Conservation groups are often stretched so thin that their efforts, no matter how passionate, fall short. That's why third parties getting involved can make a real difference in the fight. Beloved animals on this Australian island started to go extinct, and park rangers were at a total loss. Fortunately for everyone, a couple unlikely Good Samaritans offered up some unconventional ideas that could very well save the day. Phillip Island, located just south of Melbourne, made a real splash with its penguin parade. Visitors eagerly lined up to watch the elaborate wildlife make trips to and from the shore. But the parades might just end soon, for good. The aptly named Little Penguin is the smallest variety of penguin, with a weight of approximately 2 pounds. In the past, you couldn't look anywhere in Phillip Island without spotting a couple of them, but recently their numbers were thinning. Due to an influx of foxes and other predators, the helpless penguins found themselves hunted down at an extreme rate. On one gruesome day, predators killed 180 of the poor penguins. By 2015, conservationists could only find 6 penguins on the entire island. Park rangers on Phillip Island had a real problem on their hands. Aside from the tourism revenue that kept the reserve going, the near extinction of the little penguins threatened the entire ecosystem. Nobody was quite sure what to do. But then a colorful chicken farmer named Swampy Marsh stepped forward. He had a trick he used in his everyday work that he figured might just save the plummeting penguin population. To keep his flock of chickens safe from any would-be hunters, Swampy invested in a few Maremma sheepdogs to prowl his fields. These born herders chased away predators while also moving the birds to safer locations when needed. If the Maremmas could shield some chickens, he wondered, could they do the same for penguins? Phillip Island understood they had no other real option. They got to training some dogs as soon as they could. Before long, Phillip Island set the dogs out on guard patrol. The Maremmas didn't even have handlers with them. A self-reliant breed, they alone covered the expanse of the island. The park rangers waited with bated breath. Sure enough, the sheepdogs did the trick. Foxes and other predators fled to the mainland, and the little penguin community started bouncing back. Soon, in fact, their numbers climbed back into triple digits. The Maremma experiment was such a success that it inspired a family film called Oddball. However, another species threatened the struggling birds: mankind. Man-made disasters pose possibly the biggest threat to endangered species all over the world. For the little penguins, recent oil spills off the Australian coast wreaked havoc to their habitat. Fortunately, conservation groups stepped in to help clean up the animals and their homes. But one quick scrub couldn't wash away the entire problem. The oil spill can cause longer-lasting problems, like reducing the penguin's ability to retain body heat. As luck would have it, a novel solution would come from these halls in Southwest Australia. But make no mistake, this was no laboratory or gifted school. The penguin's savior would come from a nursing home. Alfie Date was already remarkable, as he held the title of Australia's oldest man. Nevertheless, even at 109 years old, he still had the energy to make a difference. Moved by the penguin's story, he pulled out some yarn and his knitting needles. With no time to lose, Alfie started knitting up a storm. A stack of colorful garments piled up next to his chair. Once Alfie's hands couldn't make one more stitch, he called the nurses to ship his hard work off to Phillip Island. Crazy as it sounds, Alfie knitted sweaters for the penguins. And it worked. The perfectly sized clothing kept the birds warm and improved their buoyancy in the water. Plus, they didn't look half bad. Once other Australians got wind of Alfie's heroic craftsmanship, they began sending their own penguin sweaters to Phillip Island, with some really cool designs to boot. You could almost say that Alfie's sweater gambit worked a little too well. Staff on Phillip Island became so overwhelmed with penguin clothing that they had to ask people to stop sending it over. The birds only needed the sweaters for a short while, and yet park rangers had enough to put on a whole fashion show. However, the sweaters going viral raised a ton of awareness about the little penguin's plight. People all over the world, not just around Melbourne, took notice of how important these birds were to the ecosystem. Ever since, the penguins' numbers have continued their steady growth. Whoever thought a few dogs and some knitting could save an entire population from the brink of extinction?